Let's roll. David Good is the head of Superyacht Australia, a governing body for super yachts within the country. David, welcome and thank you for joining.
Thanks, Cooper. Thanks. It's great to be here on the first episode. It's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you for taking the time. And obviously the show today has been a great success. Yesterday we had a huge amount of traffic through the venue. And can you give us any more insight into what triggered you guys to call this the Sydney Charter Show and how it sort of come about off the back end of the soiree?
Sure. So we've been holding an event called the Soiree for the last 6 years, ever since we had the charter laws changed in Australia to invigorate the charter market and get more people that we know can afford to charter but probably don't know about the industry. So, and the feedback from industry has been they wanted a longer show and they wanted it to be focused on bringing brokers down, particularly overseas brokers. So that's how we've turned it into a multi-day Sydney Charter Show now.
Yeah, awesome. It's definitely received a lot better, I think, from an impact point of view with, all the sponsors you've got up on the walkway here, the likes of Echo Yachts, Janico, Coral Sea Marina, bringing this collaborative approach to the event definitely helps with bringing further demographics into the space. So definitely it's been really well received from our end, and the turnout's been fantastic to date. And just a little bit more about yourself and Superyacht Australia and what you guys actually do for the industry here in Oz. As far as I can see, you guys are a governing body that represent all super yachts within Australia, but also foreign flag yachts that are coming into the country. And ultimately, you are the first base for them in terms of where they charter, where they may cruise. You're almost like a bit of a support tier to them as well. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, being an industry association, we're owned by the likes of yourself members, so we're member owned and driven. So that's how we can work collaboratively, is because we listen to the membership and they lead us on what they want to happen. So then we execute it. So one of the things that we do is trying to bring international boats into our orders. That helps a lot of our members in that they'll do refit and maintenance work here. They'll stay in our marinas. And that's export dollars. So that's bringing in money from overseas and putting it into the hands of people that are working at a shipyard as a tradie. So that's where that focus comes from. It's more like a destination marketing, similar to sort of like a tourism body in some ways. And we start with, it's a 3-phase activity that we do. We start just marketing the South Pacific, because anyone within our region can help us bring boats to this part of the world. Just get them out of the Mediterranean and the Caribbean and start bringing them into this part of the world. And then the second phase is when they're in the region, we run activities in place, choke points like Tahiti, Fiji, Thailand. We run activities there where we're giving the captains information on what's available here in Australia. The shipyards are coming with us and they're booking refit work. And then the third phase is when they get here, we need to make sure that they see everything they want to see and they spend with our members and get all the work done that they need doing. So we do things like today's activity, like our conference that's coming up, to impart the information to make sure that they're well looked after once they're here.
Yeah, awesome. And obviously, Australia as a cruising destination in comparison to the rest of the world's fairly minute, but it's growing. I feel we don't see it, but this industry is booming. Sales is, obviously not, boats aren't flying out the door at the moment, but in terms of, going to places like the Boatworks and Rivergate and the Yard, Brisbane, I mean, there's constantly just, bigger and more boats, coming to this region for servicing, and also cruising. What's your take on that, and what do you think's triggering that?
I think there's two things. Is that the type of vessel that's being built now, with a longer range, the Explorer style, the newer owners, younger owners are looking for experiences, and so they're looking to go to places that they can't get to in other ways. So places like the Kimberley region in Western Australia is our second most popular destination after the Great Barrier Reef. because there really isn't any other way that you can experience that region.
It's pretty special.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's different as well.
And if you own a vessel or you're interested in chartering a vessel, why not use it for what it's built for? You know, if you buy or you charter an explorer vessel, that's what it's designed to go and find. Sitting on the back deck in the middle of the Med is not quite the same use.
It's been
of the
and
vessel.
done before.
Yeah. So that's certainly what we're seeing, is that there's interest in coming to regions that are less travelled, places where you can go that there is no other boat there, and there might not have been, none of your friends and your business circles have been to that location, but you've got something new to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like the Med's just becoming so mainstream now, and owners are recognising that boats are travelling more economically. They've got longer range. They've got more sustainability. Any other reasons you think people, are venturing out this way, and anything you feel, people within Australia can do to encourage boats to come?
I think some of our best cruising grounds are not even in Australia, but Australia is a support base for the vessels to get to. The Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, some really extreme places that, you're seeing how people lived hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's like time travel. You go to some of those places, and we promote that, and it comes along as a genuine push to say you should really see Papua New Guinea. And it's like, well, aren't you from Australia? It's like, but I want you to come to the region and have a look. And I know that your shipyard work is going to be either done here or New Zealand. And that's the other thing. I think that Australia's a safe location. We've got properly qualified trades. There's confidence in the work that will get done, so that there is a home base, that the vessel feels that there is a safety net behind them. You're not just out in the middle of nowhere. You can come back to a place like Cairns with 3 shipyards and get proper maintenance done, and then venture back out for another itinerary.
I suppose when you're a foreign flag yacht, to do that line of work here, given the calibre of what we can produce, it's quite cost effective also. And then obviously there's a few things in the pipeline. Rugby World Cup is coming up next year. You guys have the Brisbane 32 project as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We know that particularly sporting venues, sporting activities, world-renowned ones like the Rugby World Cup, like the Olympics, are an attractant. If you can market it properly and prove to the fleet that you're capable of looking after them, and that the captain is going to look good for his boss.
Owner.
So
that's a big one.
I mean, you look at the industry in Australia. It really started with the Sydney Olympics. We had our first super yacht marina built for the Sydney Olympics. So we'd be silly not to learn from that.
And that was a pretty big success. I remember when all that, took shape, every boat in the harbour was out, and the harbour was, action-packed.
Yeah. And, London Olympics did a really good job of looking after the vessels. The Tokyo Olympics was going to be a brilliant attractant to bringing vessels into this part of the world. And then it was about 9 months later was the America's Cup hosted in Auckland. So we were salivating at the opportunity to look after the vessels and promote them cruising the routes down from Japan, down through the Philippines, Indonesia, into the Great Barrier Reef, down to the East Coast, perhaps doing New Year's on Sydney Harbour, before they then ventured across to New Zealand. And New Zealand had 134 vessels booked for that America's Cup, but unfortunately COVID had other plans, and it all got cancelled. But we still learnt from those experiences and said, look, this is an opportunity for us to give a trigger for them to commit. There's a lot of owners and captains that are saying it's on our bucket list to come there. Crossing the Pacific is on a lot of owners' buckets list.
Yeah.
But until you have that trigger to make them commit, it's always like, oh, we'll do it, in the never.
Time. Yeah.
We'll do a couple of years' time, we'll do it a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
And if you give them a trigger date and say you really need to be here for this date, then, it incentivises them to
Yeah.
get a hurry up.
Brisbane 32, David, this is obviously a huge project you guys have in the pipeline, and a project that I think is going to give a lot of super yacht owners just added value and a good reason to come out to this region. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, I'm a Brisbane boy, so
Yeah.
it's exciting for me
Good to have you back.
to be able to promote Brisbane. And the old brown snake, as they call it,
Yes.
the Brisbane River. It's Brisbane. Brisbane is
Might have to
the
clean it
river.
up.
It's the river city.
Yeah.
I mean, it's deep water trafficable all the way through to the city reach. So there's plenty of locations, and we've done it before with vessels like Aurora, which is a Lursen, 73 metre. We've been able to moor it in the city reach in the river.
Yeah, wow.
So the opportunity for vessels to be hosted in the middle of the action and tender to some of the venues, so not even have to worry about traffic, or be based out at Moreton Island where they can hand feed dolphins. We need to promote this. This is a trigger for getting these vessels into this part of the world, and it's not so far-fetched to even. It's an opportunity for some owners to build a new vessel, take delivery of a new vessel, knowing that they're going to be involved in the largest event in the world, which is the Summer Olympics, with their vessel present, so they can host business meetings.
Yeah.
You know, if it's one of a world leader in a certain industry, they can every night of the Olympics be hosting key business partners and hopefully Australian access to some of those overseas businesses. Those deals can be made at the Olympics. It's like St. Bart's on steroid. Like all the vessels are there at the same time.
I think also Australian boat building, something that's being forgotten. We've got so many good builders here in Oz now. The likes of Echo Yachts, who are exhibiting here at the show today. They obviously built White Rabbit, the world's largest trimaran, and these guys are building yachts to Northern European standards, and doing it at a more cost effective, or doing it in a more cost effective manner as well. So that's something definitely for for people to consider and prospectively look at launching in line with the Olympics. Then just obviously with those foreign flag boats visiting this region, particularly for the Olympics, within that area as well, there's a whole lot of service tiers, the likes of Boatworks, Rivergate, the Yard, Brisbane.
It'd be a great time to be a shipyard in Brisbane or in southeast Queensland with that type of focus coming. Yeah.
Definitely. I think everyone's going to have to up their infrastructure for that period. But we, I know us as a yacht management company, we'd ultimately like to, be able to make the decision as easy as possible for these people, which is 9 times out of 10 what holds them back from venturing out this way. And also on the way over, exploring the likes of Papua New Guinea, Fiji, New Caledonia, and all those regions.
Yeah, and that's where this will be the Olympics for the South Pacific.
Yeah.
This is the whole of the South Pacific's chance to host the Olympics. Queensland has the highest population of Polynesians and South Pacific Islanders than anywhere in the Pacific.
You're kidding. Yeah, wow.
So and they're really pushing it to say this is the South Pacific's chance to host the Olympics.
Yeah.
So yachting allows those vessels to go on to those regional places on the way in, not put pressure on the local community because they're not going to disgorge thousands of people like a cruise ship does, but it still gives them an economic benefit for hosting a vessel for a week before it comes further on to Australia. So that's important as part of the project to get that word out, that it's the whole of the region that are going to benefit from it if they bring their yacht. If they fly in a private jet and stay in a hotel, that economic benefit's only going to be for a week or two, not for 12 months because the yacht's not going to be travelling in and travelling out and doing refit and maintenance work. So it's to convince owners to bring their vessel instead of flying here is difficult, but something that's worth us doing. Yeah,
there's obviously a lot of economical, a lot of economics. For the shore-based businesses, but also for the owner as well in terms of exposing their yacht, to all the agents and all the brokers here. all the brands, all the corporate, industry, etc., that, may prospectively charter overseas. Also, Rugby World Cup's another big topic that's coming up next year. I know we've had a lot of inquiry, for charters next year already. In fact, we're in touch with the board of the ARU on that. How's that? How have you noticed that?
Well, I think they've only just released the locations of each team and when they're playing. So I think you're probably seeing it just now. Our last overseas show was, we haven't done one this year yet. So it's normally we get that feedback when we do an overseas show, and we're going to Palm Beach next month. So it'll be interesting to get that feedback. But I think it's until certain teams are going to be playing in a certain venue, that's when people start looking at, how can I come down and I want to do this game, and this game, and hopefully charter a yacht in between.
Yeah, we've had the Brisbane Lions reach out, and we actually did some stuff for them when they were here last playing, and also the Wallabies as well have reached out just for some corporate stuff in the build up to the event.
The British Lions.
The British Lions,
Yep.
sorry, not
Yep.
the Brisbane Lions, the British Lions. And then Sail GP is another big one. There's a huge incident last week in NZ, a big crash that sort of shook the community there. Luckily, no one was killed. It was pretty intense. But obviously, that's coming out to Australia in the next couple of weeks as well. And the industry here is pretty busy for that.
And that's one of the key reasons why we've hosted the Sydney Charter Show now, while we have, because we've got Sail GP this weekend. So we're going to do a tech tour. We're doing the captain's briefing on Thursday night that we're a part of for all the vessels, all the super yachts that are involved as part of the adrenaline program, that they get front row seats. So we'll do the captain's briefing on Thursday. We're going to do a tech tour of the pits, so to speak, for Sail
Pretty
GP.
impressive, some of those pits behind the scenes there and what they do to those yachts.
Yeah, and Sydney Harbour should have the largest amount of super yachts watching Sail GP, because you can carry more people. The vessels, when they're in, say, Saint-Tropez, can't carry the amount of people on board like you can here in Sydney.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to go watch it in Sydney, you can't really see it from shore as good as you can from on board a vessel. So why not charter a yacht? Why not have 30, 40 of your mates on board?
Yeah, no, and half of our fleets are already booked for that, and like you said, it's not out of the equation for our 100-pack festivals to be full of 80, 90 passengers all watching the race, and the yacht completely branded with with the company that's hiring the yacht with all their branding. It's an epic platform to watch the race.
And the guys that are BWA Yachting, who run the adrenaline program, are really good at making the captains look good. They don't want to deal with the owner or the guests. They just deal with the captain.
Yeah.
And they say, it's your job to keep your guests happy. We'll help you look good.
We'll give you front row seats.
Yeah.
And your background, David, obviously, I've done some reading on you prior to this interview. You've got a bit of a military background before you came involved with Superyacht Australia. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, correct. I was in the army. I went to Duntroon as a very, very young, naive kid. And then I was an infantry officer. And then when I left the military in 2005, my previous job was as a tactics instructor teaching security operations and counterterrorism. And I was employed by what was then the Cairns Port Authority to go in there and do a security plan, a counterterrorism plan for the Refit terminal, which processes about 1 million people a year through the terminal to go out to the Great Barrier Reef.
Wow.
And so that's where I started in the marine industry. Then ended up being, after 13 years, I ended up as the operations manager there, in charge of what is, I think, still the largest super yacht marina in Australia.
Yeah.
They can take vessels well in excess of 100 metres, multiple ones at a time. 3 shipyards, including what's now Austal, but it was at the time NQEA,
Yes.
who used to build super yachts.
Yeah. Austal was actually, obviously the builder of Evolution, the boat we're on today. Ocean Fast is a byproduct of Austal. So, I've got to know that brand quite well, particularly during the sale of this boat. But yeah, awesome. So you grew up or started your industry particularly in defence on the west coast,
No, I was always on the East Coast.
east coast. Okay.
Yep. And then being, in the marine industry and then seeing what happens in the super yacht side of things. If I'd have known about being super yacht crew, I would
gone straight
never have
there.
been climbing through jungles and sleeping in mud and being shot at. I would have much preferred to be, washing down boats and and sleeping in air conditioned comfort. But in some ways, it's a fairly similar regimented type of
yachting.
industry. Yeah, so it's quite an easy job for me to try and convince young kids leaving to school, like, consider it as a gap year. Don't go just backpacking through Europe. Do a course, get a job on a yacht, and we know that about 30% of those kids will stay on, and we'll try and increase the amount of Australians in the industry. And
It's funny because a lot of kids just don't know how accessible this industry is, and I think that's also something that we as an industry need to market more. Chapman, we offer a pretty good step into yachting and can provide you with all the foundational skills to go wherever you want within the globe and have the basics up your sleeve to ultimately have a good career. Is there any ways in which you think younger people can get into yachting or make it easier to get themselves into yachting?
I think the hardest thing is to convince that it's for real.
Yes.
It sounds too good to be true. Every time we're talking to school leavers and their parents, there's this suspicion is like,
Am I missing something?
surely the pay's no good. No, the pay's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, surely the working conditions. It's like, no, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to be disciplined. You're going to know how to put on a show and present well.
Yes.
Work in a small team in a real close environment. That's why I was saying it's a bit like the military in a lot of ways. And it gives you a good grounding that, you are far more employable because of that experience.
Yeah.
Especially, compared to someone going backpacking. But when I was working in Cairns at the marina, I would always hire ex-super yacht crew because you just knew they knew how to perform. You knew that they'll meet timelines, they'll get the job done. They won't fold under pressure. They'll get the job done. So I think it's a great background for young kids. But the hardest part is to convince them that. Also, like, do you love fishing and boating and surfing and diving? And they're like, yeah, they're transferable skills.
Yeah.
They're skills that are popular in this industry, and they think, how can that be? That's all fun. It's like, well, yachting is fun.
The other epic thing is as well, like providing you put those initial hard yards in, climbing your way through the ranks can be pretty fast tracked. A deckhand can go, to a mate or a bosun quite quickly. A lot of the time, these boats and crews, particularly if you're good and they see value in you as an employee, will pay for your courses and help excel you, in that career.
Yeah, or you look at Charlie, one of the yachts here in the show on Lemire.
Yeah.
She's under 30. She's been a captain for a while.
Of a 35 metre. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's a girl in what's typically a man-dominated industry. So it's awesome to see females, coming in and doing this.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then just back to your career. So after the military, you then moved to Superyacht Australia, or were you running a business prior to that?
So I was at the Cairns Port Authority that then became Far North Queensland Ports and then became Ports North.
Right.
And so we were running, eventually we took responsibility for all the ports in North Queensland. So starting in Marillion, which was a sugar port. Cairns was our major port, Cape Flattery, which does silica, up to Torres Strait, Thursday Island, and then down into the Gulf with some of the bauxite ports and Corumba and Burketown. So I couldn't affect, how much bauxite was getting pulled out of the ground, how much silica sand, what the price of sugar was, whether they were going to ship it quickly when they first cut it, how much sugar there was. But what I could affect was cruise ships and super yachts.
Wow.
We could do the extra work to attract super yachts there. Not only would they come and stay in our marina, but they would do yard work at the 3 shipyards, which were our tenants. So I was a member of Superyacht Australia. I'd done a lot of the working groups. I'd worked and travelled with my predecessor, Marianne. And then when she was retiring back in 2017, she gave me a bit of a nudge. And it took me a little bit of a while to consider, because it was based down in Melbourne, to consider moving my family from Cairns
it's always
to Melbourne in the middle of winter. I remember the look on the kids' face when they got off the plane, going, "What have you done to us, Dad?" But it was an agreement with the board that it would eventually move to Sydney, which took us about 6 months to move the office to Sydney. And yeah, I mean, because Sydney really, in my view, it's the reason we're doing the charter show here is because all the boats are here. So, and a lot of our members are here.
Awesome. And then obviously you then moved over from ports to Superyacht Australia, and here we are today. Obviously this year being an action-packed year, what do you guys have in the pipeline for the rest of the year? I assume you're doing the European shows and various other shows across the globe?
Yeah, we've made a big decision to change from doing Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. Which is a pretty big one, isn't it? It's up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the biggest show in the world. There's 110,000 people that go.
Wow.
But there's probably too many people there to get some quality time with the people that are willing to commit to bringing a vessel this way. So we're switching it up, and we're going to Palm Beach in March. We'll always do Monaco. And then Mets Trade is a big one for us. There's now a refit section of Mets Trade.
Particularly for suppliers of various goods, all super yacht orientated.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the builders of super yachts are walking through that room looking for connections they can make to do warranty work when the vessel's in our region.
Yeah.
So if we go to Monaco, for instance, so you go to Monaco and a shipyard wants to have a meeting with one of the builders like Lursen or Fedship, it's really hard to do, because Fedship, Lursen, all those guys, they're trying to sell boats at that show. But when we go to Mets Trade, the shipyard is on display, and the shipyard, the builders are walking around and wanting to have contracts with warranty work, because there's a brand new vessel that they know is coming to the South Pacific, and they want to make sure that it can get looked after when it's under that warranty period. Yeah. Or there's captains walking the room about to do a big refit.
Yeah. And I suppose a lot of those trades over there as well are dealing with, those yards day in, day out. So even just the experience and the knowledge that you gather from those suppliers just being there would be enormous.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a 3-day show, so it's my favourite show.
Yeah. Epic.
Because it's 3 days, and there was talk of us going to Boot Dusseldorf, which is a 9-day show in the middle of January.
Yeah, in the middle of winter as well.
Yeah.
And it's indoors, the Dusseldorf show, and they actually house, I hear, 30-metre yachts inside a shed in the middle of winter.
Yeah, I hear it's epic.
Yeah.
But as an industry association, we can't go to places by ourselves. We need the industry to come with us.
Yeah.
And trying to get Australian companies to do stuff in the middle of January, which is, I think a lot of people overseas don't understand. That's our, July, August. That's our summer break, and they've usually worked their butts off to get the work done before the Christmas break, and doing a 9-day boat show in January is just a really hard task. Yeah. And
one final question, just to wrap it up, and we'll be asking this to all of our guests. What are the ins and outs of this industry at the moment?
Aussie crew. Yes. We're the most fun.
Definitely.
So ins are definitely.
We drink the most as well.
Yeah, we work hard and we play hard.
Yeah.
So ins are definitely have an Aussie crew. Outs, red tape.
Red tape.
Get rid of it. You talk to any captain, it's like, they're frustrated with the amount of paperwork that's required and how it increases all the time. So that's one of our challenges. We need to get rid of some of the red tape and make it easier for vessels.
Thanks for coming in, Dave. You're obviously number one, or our first episode on Chatting with Chapman, and that's been an epic insight. And we really, obviously, as an industry, respect and appreciate what you guys are doing. There's plenty in the pipeline, with the likes of the Project 32 for the Olympics coming in. And thank you for supporting this, and thank you for sharing your story.
No worries. Thanks for having me.